Hello, and welcome back to the Volume Vegan Cooking Channel. Today I've got a delicious, voluminous meal to share with you that I made last week to break up the dinners of Thanksgiving leftovers. Zucchini noodle cauliflower Alfredo. I'm sauteing mushrooms, asparagus, and sun-dried tomatoes along with it to make it hearty, bold, and flavorful. I hope you're hungry. We're eating really good today. Get out your veggie noodler, blender, a steamer, and a saute pan. Let's get started. An hour or so before I really get started, I go ahead and make my zucchini noodles. I basically wash my zucchini, cutting off the end that connects to the plant, and sort of peeling out any bad spots in the skin. And I have this cheap little plastic noodler that I got years ago. I just place the zucchini into it, cut side first, and twist the zucchini into the device until it gets too short to twist. And then I insert the little spiky thing into the end to help me twist it the rest of the way through. I sprinkle the cut zucchini with salt in between each zucchini that I'm noodling so that there's a little salt throughout, and that helps the zucchini sweat out its water content. I leave it in a strainer in the sink while it's breaking down. It will reduce in volume as the water sweats out of the noodles. And once they're broken down a good bit, then I rinse them off a little so I get some of that salt off and continue to let them sit in a strainer while I prep the rest of the meal. If you don't feel that enough water was drained out when you're ready to use them, you can pat them dry with paper towels before putting them in your dish. Time to cook. I'm starting out by preheating my cast iron skillet to medium-high heat. And while it's heating up, I sliced up a red onion. Use less onion if you like, but I really love the flavor of caramelized red onions. Just sauteing them like this, it just brings out so much of their natural sweetness. Once your skillet is hot, add just about a teaspoon of light, neutral, high heat oil. I'm using grapeseed. Give the oil a moment to heat up, and I just use the way that the oil starts to shimmer in the pan as kind of a cue to my eye that it's ready, it's heated up. Then I add in my onions, and then I sprinkle them with some sea salt. Come back to stir them around now and then so they can all get nice and browned as they soften up. And while this is happening and I'm kind of going back and forth to my skillet to check on them and stir them around, I'm slicing up my baby Bella mushrooms. Once the onions have cooked down and caramelized, add in 3 to 4 cloves of minced garlic, less if you're not a garlic person, and stir it in so it evenly distributes throughout all of your delicious onion pieces. Stir it a bit so that you feel like most of it has had some contact with the pan and the opportunity to saute a bit. Cook until fragrant. And leave your heat on the oven, but go ahead and transfer your onion and garlic mixture to the blender. Add your sliced mushrooms to that hot pan. I didn't add any more oil. I just left the remnants of the oil that was already in this pan. This is a seasoned cast iron skillet, so it doesn't need much oil anyway. And the mushrooms will quickly start to release their moisture, and that will help you move them around so they don't stick as they cook. I add a little salt and pepper and stir it in, and I just come back to stir the mushrooms now and then as they release their juices and cook down. Keep them moving around until you have cooked most of the moisture that is released out of the pan. I used this time to cut my cauliflower up into florets and get them clean and ready. I added a little water to the bottom of this pot and heated it to steaming, and then added in the cauliflower, then putting a lid on the pot. I don't have a steamer basket, so this is my steaming method. Use your own steamer equipment accordingly. I move them around now and then so that they all have time in and out of the water that's at the bottom and they soften throughout the pot. Steam them until they have softened up, about 15 minutes. And while we're waiting, I'm just going ahead and adding a 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast to the onion garlic mixture that is already in the blender. After most of the liquid cooked out of the mushrooms, I added about a teaspoon of dried thyme leaves, a teaspoon of dried oregano, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Stirring them in and allowing them to simmer until the herbs release their fragrance. I cleaned up some asparagus that was in my fridge that was kind of wilting. I was originally going to roast them in the oven, but I just didn't have very much after I cleaned them up. So I decided to just throw them in a skillet after the mushrooms had cooked down, so I added them in at this step. I pretty much stir fry them until they're bright green. That's kind of my broccoli rule as well. Once they are the color that I'm looking for, this sort of, I think other people have called it a dinosaur green, the way that they brighten up in the heat. I'm going to add in some julienne sun-dried tomatoes. The sun-dried tomatoes that I use are not the ones packed in oil. They're, I guess, freeze-dried. They're still pretty moist. They're not very, very, very dry. Some of them are so dried out that you can purchase that you actually have to add them to some water to get them a little bit hydrated before you can eat them. The ones that I get are ready to eat. They're great, and I prefer them not to be soaking in oil. So I'm adding them in here, but you don't want to add them in too early. Add them in right before you're pretty much ready to turn off the heat on your saute, because they burn relatively easy when you throw them in a fry. When the cauliflower is steamed, drain the water and add the florets to your blender. I am adding in 1/2 cup of unflavored, unsweetened oat milk. You can use your favorite unflavored, unsweetened plant-based milk here. And I'm adding in a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. And we're just going to blend that sauce down. The cauliflower is tender, and there's liquid in here along with those sauteed onions and garlic, so it should move really, really easily. You just need to get it smooth, make sure that it's all nice and incorporated. Taste it once you've got the consistency that you would like, and see if you need to season it to your liking. Maybe add a little bit of salt, pepper, maybe a little bit more nutritional yeast here. And now we assemble. I put some of my zucchini noodles in the bottom of my bowl, and then some of my mushroom, asparagus, sun-dried tomato mixture on top of that, and then topped it with a few spoonfuls of my cauliflower Alfredo with some of my basil from my window plant, fresh basil on top. I know that a lot of people mix their veggies or bowl ingredients into their sauces, especially something like an Alfredo sauce, but I don't usually do that because I plan on eating the meal more than once, and it might not be the very next day. And keeping ingredients separate makes them just nicer to put back together, I think, and easier to sort of reheat in stages. Adding the zucchini into the sauce and then storing it, even if we got most of the water out, the zucchini is still going to lose any crisp texture that you might want to retain, and it will also add more water to the sauce as it sits. We didn't have a lot of zucchini left over after we ate this meal twice, So I bought a pack of noodles made from hearts of palm and another package of mushrooms to sort of make another meal out of the sauce. And I gotta say, those heart of palm noodles, and you'll see those in this week's grocery haul video, they are good. I mean, I like artichoke. So that flavor is definitely something that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the texture of them. I sort of lightly sauteed them a little bit after I had cooked the mushrooms, just sort of in the same pan again, just so that, you know, you can get that seasoning and whatever. And we really liked them. My kid isn't crazy about zucchini noodles, so I might pick up the palm noodles a little bit more often, though they're definitely more expensive than shredding up your own zucchini. Well, thank you so much, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, this little recipe video. I hope that you make this recipe. Going gluten-free and trying to cut down the fat in what I'm eating. Of course, I use cauliflower in a lot of places to substitute and make things a lot lighter for us to eat. I never was really much of a creamy sauce eater when it comes to like Italian food. I've always been more of a tomato sauce or a pesto person, but my kid really likes Alfredos and cream sauces, and so this one I really enjoyed. You know, I don't know if it's because it was a little bit lighter, but it's creamy and it really thickens up without even having to add any starches or anything like that, which is something I'm kind of accustomed to doing in a lot of places. So yeah, if you are going to try this video, or if you've made any kind of variations of this, please, you know, get down in the comments and let me know. Share with any of your friends that you think might enjoy a lightened up version of an Alfredo sauce. And yeah, subscribe while you're here. Turn on those notifications so that you never miss any of my cooking videos. And yeah, I hope you have a great week. I hope that you are eating good today. And I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon. Bye-bye.